for those who aren't able to join us today live. Um, I'll mention a few things about Dr. Shirley Wang. I've got her bio in front of me. Dr. Shirley Wang is a data scientist at the University of Washington, Department of Environmental and Occupational Health Sciences. Her work focuses on applying data science methods to support environmental justice initiatives, including spatial analysis, machine learning, and population health equity research. Her research helps develop tools and resources that assist communities in addressing public health and environmental challenges, particularly in vulnerable and marginalized areas. And as I mentioned, she'll be talking about EPA's EJScreen tool today. I will now hand it off to Allison Harada, who is our center's tribal outreach manager. Allison, would you like to say a few things about our center?
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Allison Hirata. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a descendant of the Karuk tribe. I'm the Tribal Outreach Manager, as Edmund mentioned, here at Center for Environmental Health Equity, or CEHE. CEHE is one of 17 Thriving Communities Technical Assistance Centers, otherwise known as TICTACs. There are 14 regional and 3 national TICTACs across the lower 48. TICTACs were created by the EPA in partnership with the Department of Energy and are designed to remove barriers and improve accessibility for an environmental and energy justice funding and programs for frontline communities experiencing the first and worst of environmental injustice. My counterpart, Leah Wood, will expand a bit further on the specific types of technical assistance CEHE provides in just a moment. You can learn more about what we do on our website, which I'll put in the chat shortly. And you can also see on the slide here. And if you're interested in working with us, please feel free to reach out via our email, phone, or filling out a technical assistance request form using the QR code you see on the slide here. I'll also put that link in the chat as well. And with that, I'll pass it over to Leah.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for being here. It's really cool to see so many familiar names on the attendee list. So I'm Leah Wood. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the community outreach manager. So Allison's counterpart, but working with community-based organizations. And kind of how we think about the technical assistance services that our center provides is sort of as a menu. So you can decide whether or not to order off the menu. So we offer things like facilitation, collaboration support, planning support, as you can see on this list. Or we also encourage you to ask the kitchen if you see something that's not listed that would help you when it comes to building capacity for your organization or your tribe. We work with groups through pretty much every point of the project development process, from kind of just how do I get some of these ideas down on paper to actually developing an application and submitting, to thinking about how you do reporting. Really, our mission is around building capacity for communities and tribes around developing environmental justice projects and accessing some of the funding that's available currently. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. We're really excited to host this webinar as part of an ongoing series. And just a quick note about process. If you don't mind putting questions in the chat, we'll have time for Q&A at the end. And with that, I'll hand it over to Dr. Shirley Wang. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Leah, and Allison for the introduction. And thanks again for joining us today. I'm Shirley Hong, and today we're going to explore how EJScreen tool can help your community understand and address environmental justice issues in your community. So whether you're new to EJScreen or have worked with similar tools before, we're going to cover everything you need to get started. So before we dive into the technical details of EJScreen, I'd like to provide an overview of it. So EJScreen is a web-based GIS tool developed by the EPA. It was specifically designed to help communities to assess environmental justice concerns by providing them with access to multiple environmental, demographic, and social economic data. So what sets the EJScreen tool different is that it has the ability to combine these data sets into visual maps and summary reports that make it easier to see how different factors such as pollution, poverty, and health disparities come together to affect your community. And why is this important? Because environmental justice is all about ensuring that every community, particularly disadvantaged ones or marginalized ones, has access to clean air, clean water, and safe living environments. So EJScreen gives us a way to visualize these environmental burdens and to show where these burdens are more concentrated and where vulnerable populations are most at risk. So for example, in areas with high air pollution, you may also find higher rates of asthma. And these areas are often home to low-income families or minorities communities. So EJScreen helps us identify these patterns so we can provide an overview of the community and advocate for change and allocate resources where they are most needed. So EJScreen pulls together a wide range of data, and let's break it down into a few categories. It includes 13 environmental indicators such as air toxics, waste discharge, and water quality. For example, if your community is near a factory that emits air pollutants, EJScreen can help you visualize air quality data in your area. It also includes other factors such as socioeconomic indicators covering race, ethnicity, income levels, and unemployment rates in your area. These are critical because communities facing economic challenges often lack of resources to advocate for cleaner environments. EJScreen also includes health disparity indicators such as asthma rates and other illnesses, as well as some other climate change indicators like flood risks and wildfire exposure. Other than this, it also includes some indicators for critical service gaps such as broadband access and housing and transportation burdens, which can further compound the vulnerabilities in certain communities. So by combining these indicators, EJScreen calculates two types of composite indicators, including the environmental justice indexes and supplemental indexes. So these two indexes together will give you a more comprehensive view of your communities that might face multiple challenges and allow decision makers to prioritize areas that are most in need of support. In addition to all these indicators and indexes, EJScreen also includes layers like community assets and landmarks, such as schools, parks, and housing, and also a layer of government-designated disadvantaged communities, which can further help you identify if your communities includes this disadvantaged areas identified by the White House Justice for the Initiative or the EPA Inflation Reduction Act. So let's say we're looking at a neighborhood near a power plant. You can use EJScreen to see air quality data and overlay different demographic information such as income levels and race ethnicities, and identify where vulnerable populations such as children or seniors might live in proximity to pollution source. So what exactly can you do with EJScreen? There are a number of practical applications, such as you can quickly identify areas where pollution is high. As we mentioned before, it provides a wide range of environmental data. And you can also identify where populations are vulnerable. And this can further allows you advocate for targeted interventions. And it can also support grant applications. So whether you're applying for funding or drafting a proposal, EJScreen's data can strengthen your case by providing visual evidence of environmental disparities. And in fact, many grants, such as EPA Community Change Grants, CCG, which we will discuss later, require applicants to demonstrate that their project areas are in need of support. Government agencies and policymakers can also use EJScreen to make data-driven decisions about where to allocate resources and how to target pollution reduction efforts, and to identify which communities are in need of greater protection. And one thing we need to mention that even if you're not working on a large-scale project, EJScreen can be a valuable tool for learning more about your own community. You can assess local risks and better understand neighborhood conditions and gather data to advocate for positive change. So let's talk about how EJScreen fits into the EPA Community Change Grants, CCG program. The EPA offers 2 key tracks for funding under this program. The track 1 focuses on community-driven investments for climate action and pollution reduction. So this might include projects like installing solar panels in low-income neighborhoods or reducing water pollution in disadvantaged communities. The track 2 emphasizes community engagement with the goal of helping disadvantaged communities become more involved in governmental decision-making. One thing to notice is that for track 1, applicants are required to submit a project area map. And EJScreen is recommended as the tool by the EPA to create these maps. So your map needs to show whether your project area includes disadvantaged communities as identified by the EPA Inflation Reduction Act, IRA. So let's say you're applying for funding to address flooding risk in a low-income neighborhood. EJScreen can help you map the area and show the flooding risk. And by overlaying the demographic data, you can demonstrate that this is a disadvantaged area that in need of support. So this visual evidence makes your grant proposal stronger and more compelling. When creating a project map with EJScreen, it is important to include certain key elements, including the project area boundaries and jurisdictional boundaries that clearly outline the scope of your project. You can also include major streets, landmarks, and community assets, such as parks, schools, and public housing, to highlight how vulnerable populations are affected. For example, the map on the left visualizes the housing burden in the city of Seattle using color-coded section, along with the location of public housing. We also added boundaries of the city of Seattle to the map to give a complete picture of our project area. So this shows an example of the way that you can include these key elements to your project area map. So now let's walk through a real-world example where we can learn how to navigate through EJScreen with a case study. So in this case study, we will be exploring the asthma health risks in a neighborhood located near a heavily polluted industrial site in Eugene, Oregon. In this demonstration, we will cover how to select the project area using the EJScreen selection tool. And we will also walk through how to identify EPA IRA disadvantaged communities in your project area. And finally, we will learn how to generate a project area map and a summary report to summarize the characteristics of your community. So the EJScreen tool can be accessed easily from the EPA's official website. Just simply search the keywords EPA EJScreen, and you should be able to locate the link to the tool on the EPA official website. And let's start started by getting familiar with the EJScreen interface, which is designed to make mapping activities straightforward and intuitive. So at the center of the screen, you will notice the main mapping area. This is where all the action happens. Any adjustment you make to the map will show in this area. In the upper right corner, you will find several useful functions, including the search widget, where you can enter your project site address or the location name. And in the upper lower right corner, there is a zoom in and zoom out functions, which help you to adjust the scale of the map. There is also a function that lets you toggle your base map. You can select to display different base map according to your preferences. And in the upper left corner, you'll see the tools widget. This is the area that we'll be using the most as we navigate through our mapping activities. So EJScreen organizes its tools in a way that makes everything very user-friendly. So whether you're adding environmental layers or demographic data, just simply click on different mapping layers that the EJScreen provides, and it will make it happen. For our case study, we start by selecting the project area by entering this heavily polluted industrial site in Oregon's address in the search bar. So after the search completed, you will notice the mapping area zooms into our search location. And a dialog box will also pop up to let you customize your search location. In this case, we name our project site as project area. And we also added a 3-mile buffer zone surrounding this industrial area with the hope of capturing impacts nearby in our later analysis. The next step in our analysis is to identify whether our project area contains any EPA IRA designated disadvantaged communities. This is critical. This is a critical part because when applying for grants or trying to demonstrate that a particular area is vulnerable, it is important to show such information. So EJScreen also makes this very easy to do this. Just simply turn on the designated disadvantaged community layers in the tools widget that we just saw, and select the options for EPA IRA disadvantaged communities. The map will automatically highlight the census block groups that are designated as disadvantaged by the EPA IRA. And as you can see on the map here, a significant proportion of the area near our project site is shown in yellow, meaning that they are designated as disadvantaged communities. Since our goal of this case study is to explore the asthma health risk in the population that living near this heavily polluted industrial site, we then focus on asthma prevalence by selecting the asthma indicator under the health disparity sections in the tools widget. So the map now shows asthma prevalence rates by colors, with the red one signifies higher asthma prevalence. And again, we see a significant proportion of our project area near this industrial site is shown in red, meaning that the neighborhood surrounding this industrial sites suffers from higher asthma prevalence compared to other areas in the state. In the previous section, we mentioned the importance of adding different community assets and landmarks to your project area map. So here we overlaid community assets such as public housing and parks to help us understand how vulnerable populations are impacted by the pollution created by these industrial sites. We also added jurisdictional boundaries to our map to give more context. Here we show an example of adding boundaries according to zip codes. You can also choose other options such as city and county boundaries to your map. And the most important part of the overall analysis is to generate and analyze the EJScreen community report generated by this EJScreen tool. So to generate such report, just click on the project site again, and then a dialog box will pop up again to let you select EJScreen community report. And the report should be generated within a couple of seconds after you click on that link. So now let's walk through the reports together. So the first page of this EJScreen community report should be an overview of your selected project area. You can see there is a screenshot of the map that we just made, along with some basic community information such as total population number, composition of different race, ethnicities, and income levels. So this gives an overview of your project area. On the second page of the report should be a visualization and summary of different environmental justice indexes and supplemental indexes of your selected project area. And it shows how your project area ranks compared to either state or national levels. And as you can see here, the selected project area, which is the neighborhood around the industrial site, ranks high for most of the environmental justice indexes or supplemental indexes compared to national level or Oregon state. The third page of the report provides further breakdown of different environmental burdens and social economic indicators. And at the bottom of the report, it further confirms whether your selected project area contains any EPA IRA designated disadvantaged communities. So showing this information is particularly important when you're planning to apply for the EPA CCG grants. The final page of the report shows further indicators such as health disparity indicators and climate change indicators. So you can see, as we highlighted here, the asthma prevalence in our selected project area stands out at around 12%, which is higher than both state and national averages. So in this demonstration, we see how EJScreen can help us visualize different environmental justice issues. But it is also important to acknowledge that it has some limitations. So one important thing is that EJScreen should be treated as a screening tool, as it provides initial insights, but not conclusive data. It's a great starting point for your environmental justice projects, but localized analysis for your project area is often necessary. And some data set that EJScreen provides serve as proxies for real-world condition and may not always reflect the most up-to-date information. For example, the air quality data that EJScreen provides are based on modeling results rather than real-time measurement. So we should always be cautious when we use the data from the EPA EJScreen and when we interpret the results. Another limitation is that EJScreen uses census block group as the primary units of analysis. So while this can provide a broad view of community level issues, it can also obscure smaller communities or fail to capture local variations. So this is where local knowledge and community narratives becomes invaluable. So community members have firsthand experience with the specific challenges they face. So your insights are critical to add to your study proposal, as this is what EJScreen cannot provide. So that wraps up our demo and presentation. because we are not able to provide a live demo in our presentation today, so we pre-recorded a demo video to walk you through the nitty-gritty of using EJScreen to create your project area map or summary report. So we will be uploading this onto our website. So please feel free to revisit this presentation or this demo video if you need help. So that's my presentation for today. Please feel free to type your questions in the chat, and we'll try to answer that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Shirley. We've got a couple questions in the chat, but first I want to shout out a comment that was that it includes nearby schools and other entities nearby in the report. That's awesome. So the first question is, oh, and hold on, I'm going to stop recording for this part so that we can feel a little bit more free. 1 second.